Hey, Hawkeye fans, welcome back. Well, obviously, we are not in football season anymore, but this gives us a really cool opportunity to shine some light on some different athletes from some different Hawkeye sports. We're super excited to do that today. We've got an incredible interview with Ben Kueter. We hope you love it. Welcome back to Talkin' Hawks, the offseason, presented by Estella's. Well, Matt, I'm so excited that Estella's is our presenting sponsor of the offseason.
Yeah, they always bring delicious food. It's unbelievable. And we go there often enough, but the fact that they give us fresh food like this every time is incredible.
It is the best, fresh, build your own burrito bowl, whatever you want. It is the best in the Iowa City, Coralville area.
Do you have a go-to?
A go-to?
Yeah.
You don't want to know my order. I get so much stuff in it. I do. I'm not like you, because what do you get?
I get the buff. Chill out. I get the buff. It's the pancake one. It's the breakfast one. It's unbelievable.
I do build your own. Ready? Grilled chicken. No rice. Black beans. Corn salsa. Mild salsa. I also like their green salsa as well. Salsa verde. I think that's what it's called. Sour cream. Guacamole. Queso. And shredded cheese.
Yeah, that's a burrito.
You fill it up. It's so good. Estella's, the best.
Yeah, really excited that they were able to pair with us.
So if you are looking for locally owned, fresh food made with love, check out Estella's today. Hi, Matt.
What's up?
How are you?
God is good. How are you?
I'm good. Just wearing my purple today.
Yeah.
You like this?
The off season.
I know.
Can't wear that in season. Northwestern.
Okay.
Bad dad jokes. I'm full of them.
Actually terrible. We're recording this on, what's today? Wednesday. And actually the women play Northwestern, I think today.
Are you kidding me?
I can't believe I did this.
Jeez.
Let me just. Yeah, so we can talk about any sport we want, Matt. We can do whatever we want. We don't have to talk about football.
I mean, we will. With Ben Kueter, we will. And obviously some major noise, I guess some major news came out. So we should probably talk about that at least a little bit.
Well, some major news came out, but hasn't been officially released by the university. I would like to say
Really?
that first,
Okay.
to my knowledge.
So just sources.
It's just been Iowa football is expected to hire Tim Lester.
Okay.
So that's all I know about that. But I do know the job posting is taken down for the OC. And then the job posting for the assistant coach, which would presumably be the wide receivers coach, is still out there. You should apply.
I don't know about that.
Do it.
You're really going to put me on here like that?
Why wouldn't you?
It's just a lot of time. It's a lot of time.
Consider this an informal resume being handed to the Iowa football staff.
And what is my resume, Laura?
Played football.
Played. Just
hire him.
Played.
No, me. It's Laura Vandenberg is applying. Watch football.
I've seen football once or twice.
Yeah. I don't think that's how that exactly works, but
I don't know. This is my electronic resume. Played.
That actually kind of is. It is like an electronic resume. They could watch you break down stuff and be like, actually, he knows a lot. See?
Balls in their court, I guess.
It's football. Balls on their field.
Balls on their field.
Yeah, you said balls in their court. Anyway, so we're going to talk about football, but I do want to mention Iowa women's basketball is rolling. I think do they have 3 losses now? Because they lost to Ohio State. They've lost to Ohio State.
And Kansas State.
Kansas State, is that it?
They lost a close one. Actually, I think Ohio State was the last loss.
Okay. They either have 2 or 3 losses, but I'm going to go with 2 just because.
I believe it's 2.
Obviously, they're rolling. They have the best chemistry. It's just so fun to watch. And it just seems like, obviously, Caitlin doesn't typically have an off game, but if she's having an off few minutes, somebody on the team finds a way to
Sydney Folter played really well last time.
It's fun to watch her shoot 3 for sure. Gabby, obviously, and then
Kate Martin.
Sharon's gotten some time. Just seems like they've got a really good system going over there. So I'm excited to see where that heads.
It's kind of interesting. I forget who we were watching. You and I were watching I think we were watching a basketball game in person. And you were like, I just feel like you're always open. After watching Caitlin Clark, it's like, oh, you've got a foot and you're open. Just shoot it.
No, literally.
It was your niece's game.
We were watching a freshman. Actually, it might have been JV. It was either freshman or JV high school girls game. And every time that a girl had the ball that was like beyond the arc and had like a good like foot or two distance from her and the defender, I was like, shoot it. Like, typically people don't do that.
Galen Clark
but like,
effect.
I know. It's like, I just feel like anybody could make it at any point because of her. Because anytime she's got the ball, like, oh, she could probably shoot it. Like, this girl's draped all over her shoulder. She could probably shoot it.
Buzzer going off. That's all right. Just
launch it.
huck it.
And so it's hard for me to not expect that from other people. Like JV girls basketball. I wonder if other people have that thought when they're watching.
I can only
games.
imagine.
It's so interesting. And then we've got the men, unfortunately, just had the loss to Indiana last night, but a big win over Michigan at Michigan just a few days ago. So that was a really good win for them.
And with a young team like that, you're going to have some ups and downs. Just kind of the way it's going to go.
100%. But I do think that they have a lot of good, what's the word I'm looking for? I think they have a lot of good.
Nobody tell her.
Don't. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I don't know, but I'm not going to tell you anyway.
They have the opportunity to be good in the future.
Oh,
What's the word? Doesn't matter. Don't you think?
Yeah. Spoiler alert. We do have Owen Freeman coming on the podcast. So be on the lookout when that one drops in March. But at the same thing, like very young, Brock, very young. And you contrast that with like Tony Perkins, who's played with Keegan and, Keegan and Chris Murray.
Are we okay?
Both of us are a little bit off. Play with the Murray brothers, so like he's seen what top tier talent is like, and how can he pull those young guys up to meet that kind of, I don't want to call it the standard, but to kind of meet that kind of playing on a consistent basis. So it's kind of cool to see that, and it's just going to take time. Just all of it does.
Yeah, but they're fun to watch. I think it's cool. And then wrestling, obviously rolling as well, but we've got Penn State coming in. I want to see. Did
you see the video of AJ Ferrari deadlifting in the Iowa weight room?
No.
Yeah.
What was he doing?
He was deadlifting.
Well, I know, like a lot.
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
Well, that's kind of like his thing to be like,
it's like his MO.
Whatever deadlift, it's a 7,000 pound deadlift or whatever. I don't know what it is.
It's not that.
Well, I know, but like that's his thing, is to say those things.
Yeah, it was a lot of weight. He repped it out. But I don't know if he's like with the I don't understand that whole dynamic yet.
Me either. Let's see. We have.
What weight would he wrestle?
I think 97. Give me one moment here as I look on my phone. This is the off season. We're a bit unhinged. I'm on my phone.
You're just unhinged.
Okay, February 9th. That's what I was looking for. 8 p.m. It's going to be late start time for you. Sorry. And me. That's my bedtime. Wrestling. Men's wrestling. Penn State comes to town. That'll be a true test. It's just been a really interesting season because I don't think a lot of people had that many expectations just with how many guys we had out with the whole gambling probe situation. But
that's a conversation in and of itself at this point.
But I don't know if, people had that many expectations. So it's kind of cool to see them still like, next man in mentality. And it's fun to watch Tom talk about it too, because he's very aware. Like he's not the guy that's like, gonna like try to make it sunshines and rainbows all the time of like, no, I think we're doing great. Like he's going to give it to you straight, So that's been really fun to watch where he's like, we got a lot of work to do. It's tough work. You got to get tough. That was like the most recent thing was like, he did this whole monologue. I think it was after they were at Northwestern and Ben Kueter actually had the like 40-second fall to cap it all off. But anyway, after that, the post-duel interview, he was like just giving his little monologue on you gotta get tough.
If he started like his own like YouTube videos of just him doing a camera like in his office and him just talking for a minute, I'd probably subscribe to that.
100%. And like do it live though. We used to do this thing, Move of the Week. Now, do you remember this?
Oh yeah. Like right when he first started.
And it was live. And my boss and I were just talking about this. We would just walk in with a phone on Facebook Live, like there's no going back. It's live. And it would be like, what was his name? I think it was Jeremiah Moody would do it a lot. Or like Max Mirren did it a few times. Like all of their characters, would do like the move of the week. So
definitely
like,
our characters.
Like teaching wrestling fans and like young kids like a different move every week and explaining it. And then it was just off the rails from there. Like you never knew what was going to happen. And sometimes Tom would just like run in and like do something or just like tackle someone. And I would just be standing there with the mic like, okay, this is where we are with this. Like Yeah, it was always an experience.
Well, there's a reason that he's your favorite interview in Kinnick.
You don't know what's going to happen. Usually it's not an interview. He just takes the mic.
That's true too.
But we have those little inner ear things that you you put in because it's really echoey down in the field. It can be echoey up in the stands too, but
because
really,
it's a delay from the time you talk to the time it comes out of the speakers.
Extremely, like a whole second. And so if you don't have them in, it's extremely difficult to be focus on what you're saying because you can barely hear yourself because the fans and the echo and all the things. So anyway, we have these little inner ear things. Well, his cauliflower ear is so bad that they don't fit. And so he's like, can you help me with these? And I'm trying to help. I'm like, I don't know if you can wear these. I don't need them. I don't need them. So that was the first time he came out. And then ever since I'll be like, do you want these? Like, nope, don't want them. Don't want them. He doesn't care. Doesn't bother him.
That's the way it should be.
No, he went out there and was like, anytime, anybody, anywhere. I was like, yes,
yeah,
me too. But not at all. Anyway, now we're off on a tangent, off the rails. So yeah, women's wrestling is done in Carver. We had their final. It was a 3-team. They call it the Iowa Duels. Yeah.
Okay.
And we had Life University and Missouri Valley. Won, obviously. We won. And then they'll go on to other things outside of Iowa.
I feel like it's a challenge. It's very cool to be in the position that they are, that they started it. But the con to that is nobody else has done it yet.
You mean for the first Power 5?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's how much competition is there? Consistent talent and consistent duels and consistent meets. It just sounds like it's a lot of very jumbled right now, which you expect at the beginning of anything. So I'll be kind of curious to see how much on the back end other universities are to try and match.
Yeah. I mean, there is still good talent. You still have close matches. You get the ones that are real quick, done.
But it's not like every Friday, like with wrestling.
Oh,
you feel like you're going to get good matchups every single Friday.
Yeah.
And every single weight class, you feel like it could go either way, even if it's a 17 versus an unranked or 3 versus 12. You just don't know.
Yeah.
With women's wrestling, I feel like once they get more people into the talent pool, it's going to become a lot closer.
And it's way more popular now at the younger ages. You talk to, I've just talked to a lot of wrestler guys. I'm like, you have your daughter wrestle? I'm like, yeah. Of course. Okay.
I kind of like it in a sense of self-defense.
Self-defense, 100%. Yeah. I was going to do jujitsu. Hello.
Yeah, I actually asked you to do it a little bit because I did taekwondo for a while and I was like, you'd be good. You'd get into some jujitsu and then you never went.
No, I was too scared. Can you imagine me walking out with a black eye one time? I would never go back.
All you'd have to do is do the makeup on the other eye to match it.
I would never go back. This is the moneymaker, Matt.
Definitely not your content, strictly just your looks.
Just want to play into a stereotype, okay? Let it happen. Okay. So there's all of that. You know what I was thinking about the other day, just to make this rant go a little bit longer?
I can't wait.
Total tangent. This guy on Instagram, it's the guy Mark or something like that. That's his name, something like that.
Not the podcast guy.
The podcast guy. And I was just thinking about how
So
anybody can get on anywhere and just spew random crap. And if you deliver it in a certain way, you're kind of
is that true?
True? Because I know that this guy is doing a shtick, he's doing a little, whatever. And I still am I wonder if he's telling the truth, because he'll be
the pottery one was that one cracked me up.
I don't know the pottery one. I can't remember.
The pottery one. Do you want me to say it?
I don't know. I was just, okay, sure. What is it?
He was so he makes fun of everybody with a podcast. He's this is every guy who has one. And he goes, all right, so if you look at ancient civilizations, and John's already leaving because I've been talking about this all morning.
No, he calls him Chris.
Oh, sorry. Chris is already leaving. We've been talking about this all morning. Ancient civilizations are known by their pottery. And here's the thing, though. Pottery is done on a spin wheel that's electric. So that means pottery could have only been done for the last 200 years. So they're oh, these ancient potteries back in 16 whatever, can't have it. What are they hiding? What are they doing?
Yeah, that's what he does though. But he starts everyone off like this. He'd be if you're watching, you can see all of what I'm doing. He's looks at the mic. How the guys always look at the mic to check if it's still there. He'd be can I blow your mind real quick?
That's what he says, yeah.
He'd be okay. So the Statue of Liberty, there's only one. How is there only one? when you think about how things are made. And he like goes into this whole thing that's absolute crap. Like it makes no sense at all whatsoever, but the way he delivers it. And then at the end he goes, so what do you think? And like puts you into this, like leads you into having your own answer about it that he like led you to. That's just the worst answer. Anyway, point is, we could say anything we want and people would believe it if we just delivered it correctly.
I like just, worrying about the truth.
I'm just saying, it's so funny.
I feel like you're now putting it in the minds of all of our listeners and followers. And people that watch are like, are they saying anything right?
Okay. Anyway, I just had to bring that up. Just another little random. Just trying to fill time here. Okay, Matt?
You don't have to. We can talk about the OC.
Oh, yeah.
Potential. The thing that we were actually going to talk about.
No, I forgot that we were doing that. Okay, tell me about him. Tim Lester. So this is the one that is Iowa's expected to hire.
So he did play quarterback, which I think was a lot of people's negative thoughts about Brian, is that he didn't play the position. Like that was the thing that a lot of people said. So he did play the position. He played quarterback at Western Michigan, was an all MAC, which is their conference, Mid-American Conference. All MAC player. He had more passing yards in his college career than Chuck Long, who I believe has the most in Iowa history. So he could sling the rock a little bit, a little bit different offense at the time. But either way, that's something that I think is necessary to know. And then he coached a couple different places. One coach of the year at Division II schools, I think a Division III school, one coach of the year. So those are good things. Means he understands how to create a culture, at least that people buy into, it would appear. From there, he became the head coach at Western Michigan after PJ Fleck left. So he got there, and the kind of offense he ran is a little bit different than what Iowa runs. It's like a pistol RPO kind of thing. Now, RPO is a run-pass option. We've talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but not a ton. If you want to go back into more of like an RPO thing, you can check out the one, I think it was the preview of Minnesota or the recap of Minnesota where I talk about what they do.
I think it was the preview.
So the preview of Minnesota where I talk about how they read a certain guy and then he might pull it and throw the slant behind him, or he might just hand it off depending upon what he reads. So they do that a lot at Western Michigan. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to bring it here, but
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that would be a good thing to have a guy like Cade McNamara do, because he's probably got a really good ability to read a defense with his experience? Like it would do best for an experienced quarterback?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that somebody who can see the full field or understand exactly what the read is and has good ball placement.
Okay.
Because normally you're throwing to a spot that's going to be in between two guys, so you got to hit the window, which, I mean, quarterback play, you have to be able to hit windows anyway. But I think it would benefit that. I personally am not a fan of post-snap RPOs. I like pre-snap RPOs. And what I mean by that is a lot of what Minnesota does is a snap, and now I'm reading the guy. So I don't know what I'm doing until I see what he does. And then once he reacts, then I react. Versus pre-snap, where I go out there and go, he's not where I want him to be, so I'm just going to hand it off. Versus, oh, he's a little closer to the box, I'm going to throw right behind him. And I know before I get the ball what I'm going to do. The reason I like that more is because you've got a full like trust and confidence is like, no matter what, I'm going to throw this ball. Now there's cons to that too of like, okay, now what if he lines up one way and then he backs up and now he's in the spot that I can't throw it and I already decided that I'm going to throw it. Sometimes it can lead you into a bad play. I mean, it's a little... With any good thing, you're going to have a little bit of bad. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. But I think it would be beneficial for something like Cade, and especially with our running back room, being able to get them the ball. I'm interested to see who comes in. I don't think our receivers coach has been named at the time of recording, so it'll be interesting to see if they bring in for that. Obviously, we just talked about my electronic resume, but
Look at you, you're still doing it. You're still giving your resume.
I just said it.
Keep going.
So I'll be interested to see who they bring in, because you do have to have a smart receiver too, of like understanding, okay, the ball is going to be here. You need to make sure you get there in an X amount of time or whatever. But I think it'll be a blend of what the pro style is and what he did at Western Michigan, because then you fast forward and his previous spot was as an analyst for the Packers. Well, because he played college football with Matt LaFleur, who was the head coach. And you could argue that Matt LaFleur is one of the better offensive-minded coaches in all of football.
Also the better looking coaches in all of football. You could argue that.
One not in this room could argue that. John.
I got him so
Our
good.
producer's dying.
I got him so good.
Golly. Anyway, so he spent time with him. And not only that, but he was with the Packers with Jordan Love, first year starting. And they don't run a ton of like RPO type stuff, but they have it in their ability to do so. They ran some with Aaron Rodgers when he was there. Lester wasn't there with Aaron Rodgers, but he was there with Jordan Love. And they had a lot of, quote, unexperienced, young, don't know what they're doing receivers.
I would like to reemphasize that was in quotes.
That was all in quotes. Yeah, that was all in quotes. Sorry for those of you listening. And so it's like Romeo Dobbs. He had a year or two with Aaron Rodgers before he really burst on the scene. Christian Watson had a year with Aaron Rodgers, but he was hurt a good amount. Jordan Reed is a rookie receiver. Like I said, Jordan Love, first year starting. So a lot of these new pieces were there, and they still were able to perform at a very high level. Jordan Love, down the stretch, I think had 22 touchdowns to 1 interception the last like 8 or 9 games. So it was like, he's been a part of a successful turnaround, or maybe not even turnaround, but he's been a part of a successful program not that long ago. So can he bring that to Iowa City if he does eventually end up being named? I think that's what's going to be cool. Like, how can he blend it in? I know there's been a lot of like negativity around this hire, but like, he hasn't done anything in Iowa yet. I don't understand why fans get so high or so low before somebody's shown what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to recruits. Like, why did we sign this guy? Like, you don't know. Wait till he gets on the field. We'll find out then if he was good or bad. But given what happened last year, in terms of the offensive rankings, we know we're not as high as we would like them to be. As long as it's a little bit of an improvement, that's really all we're looking for. You don't have to go from 132 to 1. Go from 132 to 121 to 107 to 96 to whatever. That's improvement. That's really all you need, especially with a top tier defense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. We got a lot of guys coming back on offense too. So
I say it'll help to have a potentially future all-pro tight end with Luke Lachey coming back. Obviously, Cade McNamara, we got to see glimpses, but not truly what he's like when he's healthy. So what does that look like? Offensive line has some pieces. Running back room is stable. Like, what helps the pass game is having an effective run game, but you can't be overly one way or the other, in my opinion. You got to be relatively balanced and give the illusion that you can do both. Mm-hmm. If you give the illusion you can do both, then that stable of running backs becomes that much harder to defend because now they have to worry about you actually throwing the ball. So I think that's going to be some interesting things. And to further this point just a little bit more, so Davis, and I played for Davis and then I played for Brian, systems were similar in that they looked similar. Like, you have 3-by-1, you have 2-by-2, you had a fullback, you had a tight end, but they were called completely differently and they were understood completely differently. So to say that it's Coach Ferentz's offense and they're not going to budge, like, Davis had completely different words in the way that he wanted things done than Brian. And so there's no reason to say that Tim's not going to have his own thing when he gets there. So I think it's one of those things that we just won't know until we see it. And I wouldn't expect something to be drastically different year one. He's implementing a system. He's coming in before spring ball, which is good so we can start that process, but it's going to take a little bit.
Okay.
Basically give him some grace and then we'll figure it out.
I feel like that's usually your MO.
Yeah.
Things like that. Speaking of people coming on campus, Caden Proctor.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple new faces transferred from Alabama back to Iowa. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Well, he was a freshman all SEC, mm-hmm. As a lineman down there. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, he still has to learn the Iowa way, but we'll see what happens. One of the highly touted recruits, it's like, I think Xavier was a really high touted recruit, but he didn't play his first year, right? He had to learn the system, which Quinn Schulte talked about how complex it can get. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, okay, Caden, maybe he's not the starter come spring practice because he's got to learn a few things, and then spring camp or then fall camp he's ready to go because he's had a summer of learning it. Now he may just step in and be the starter right away. That's absolutely a possibility. But I think that we just need to learn to give a little more grace of, like, in this world of instant gratification, sometimes it just takes a little bit, especially when it comes to the Iowa developmental way.
You are turning into a regular Dan Gable. You've got a lesson in every talking point that you've got.
Oofda.
Maybe that's just a dad thing. I don't know.
Maybe. You do have 2 kids. Huh?
But Caden and Xavier actually had the same trainer when they were in high school from the same area. I don't know if they're from the same high school. They are from the same high school? Okay, yeah.
Southeast Polk.
Yeah, that's right. So I would assume he probably had a good hand in getting him here, getting him acclimated.
I was going to say, and hopefully that's a good thing and they continue to move forward.
Yes. Very exciting. Well, shall we get to our interview?
Let's get it.
You had a new haircut. I just want to mention that for the people watching. It looks very nice on you.
But at the time of the interview, I didn't have this haircut. So thanks for bringing it to everybody's attention so I can see how good my hair looks now and the fact that I'm wearing a hat when we get to the interview.
Because it didn't look as good.
Didn't look near as
And
good.
now it looks very nice.
Thanks.
Okay, we are going to
Not
hop
Matt
into...
LaFleur-esque.
It actually is kind of like Matt LaFleur's
Don't do
haircut
that.
a little
Don't do
bit.
that.
He just does
Don't
a little
do
more
that.
of a
Don't do that.
comb
End it. End the segment.
I did that on purpose. I told your barber, give him the Matt LaFleur.
No, you didn't. Go, wrap it up. Here's our
Okay.
interview with Ben Kueter.
We're going to get into our interview now with Ben Kueter. We'll be right back. Did you know that Iowa City Tire does more than tires?
I mean, yeah, they've been servicing vehicles in the corridor for like 40 years.
Okay, but did you know that before someone had to tell you?
No. No, I didn't.
Well, check out how they're doing things in a very different way at Iowa City Tire and Service.
Where service actually comes first. Call 319-338-5401. Need a new roof, gutter, or siding in Eastern Iowa? Call JB Roofing, a local and reliable roofer with over 20 years of experience. They do one roof at a time, unlike others who juggle multiple projects and cut corners. They also serve a 45-mile radius around Kelowna and can help you with any insurance claims. Don't wait. Call 319-656-ROOF or visit their website, jbroofingkelowna.com, for a free estimate. JB Roofing, the small town roofer you can trust.
All right, Hawkeye fans, we are so excited for this next guest of our off-season guest list. And today we have Ben Kueter, a two-sport athlete. Ben, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing good.
Good.
An Iowa City native.
Yep.
We love
Born
to
and
see
raised.
it. Born and raised. Okay, so tell me a little about yourself. So from Iowa City, what was your childhood like?
Yeah, so I grew up in Iowa City, went to City High,
Mhm.
and then, I don't know, played every sport you can imagine and just did that all the way through. And yeah.
What
You have
about, like-
siblings? Sorry.
no, you're good. What
yeah,
about like,
I have two younger brothers. One's a senior right now. He might go play ball at Iowa Western or Iowa Central. And then I have a younger brother who's 7th grade. Little wrestler, yeah.
A little wrestler.
Yep, uh-huh.
Okay, so following in your footsteps in that way.
Yeah, yep, he's getting there.
Nice. Okay. So tell me about just like being a kid. Were you in a lot of like youth sports, or was most of your time spent like outside with your brothers, parents, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, I would say. I was just such like a competitive kid growing up. So like I played soccer, I played baseball, like everything, just everything imaginable. And then, a lot of time spent out with my brothers outside and stuff because we kind of lived in the country. So just doing that. But I was a very active kid.
So like on the edge of town.
Yeah. Like it was, And I was very active. I don't know. Me and my brother, we were just active. It was fun.
So when you're younger and you're like in soccer,
Yeah.
it's like that bee swarm, where they like follow the ball like that. Did that just make you so mad? Were you like, this is dumb?
I hated it. I mean, I was just so competitive though. I loved it though. So, but
Yeah.
it was cool. Yeah. Heck yeah.
And then I'm assuming like t-ball, baseball, that kind of thing too.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Very
It's
good.
funny because my parents, they actually played basketball. And then I started wrestling when I was 3.
Huh.
Yeah. Me
Okay,
and my
so-
little brother, we just kind of wrestled in the living room. And then I don't know, they just finally sent us to a club. And it just kind of picked up after that.
So basically you just started tackling your brother and they're like, all right, let's get him into
we just
something
kept
organized.
fighting in the living room. So my parents were like, all right, we got to do something about this. So, and then I started then and been doing it ever since.
Fighting in the living room doesn't really translate to basketball.
Yeah,
as
no.
much.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they're like super into it now, like my parents, and like they just were never around it, like all basketball, track, baseball, like never around wrestling really.
Did you do any other like MMA type stuff?
No, nope, just wrestling. I would definitely like think about it though in the future, like doing UFC if football
Ooh.
doesn't work out. So,
Okay. So
yeah.
like, but no jujitsu, no judo.
No,
nothing
I
like
mean,
that?
I have no problem with it. I think it's all great, but I definitely, just wrestling.
Interesting.
Dang. So you said your parents played basketball, like
Yeah.
at the collegiate level, high school? What was
Yeah,
that?
I think my mom went to like Kirkwood, I want to say.
Mhm.
And then I can't remember my dad. I want to say he was on the practice squad here for a year at Iowa.
Okay.
And then I don't know what he did after that. But yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So then I was reading an article and you were really good friends with Dan Gable's
Yeah.
grandson.
Yep.
Yeah, Gable Mitchell.
Yep.
Very
Uh-huh.
good. And he plays baseball at Iowa.
Yep.
Okay. And you kind of grew up together, is that right?
Yeah, so
Or-
we were always on the same club baseball team.
Okay.
Like, so growing up, we'd always just go to like different cities and stuff and be on the same team. And go to the hotel and Dan Gable's there. So it's kind of cool being around him and stuff. But yeah.
At first, was it kind of like, oh my gosh? And then,
Yeah, it was kind of weird. But like after you do it for a while, it's just like you just get used to it. And like you're just another person, you know what I mean? But
right.
So you're just saying that Dan Gable's not special? Is that where you get
no, obviously, like he's the greatest. But yeah, it's a little different when you see him a lot. And so, but yeah, it's crazy.
Did you get to like train with him or anything like that? Or what
So we actually, for 2 years, we lived on his rental property. And it was like his house here and then like our house. So there was like countless times where I'd just like go over there and he'd put me through a workout and it's horrible.
I was going to ask you what that was like.
Yeah. I mean, I was grateful for it, of course. But I think the biggest thing, like why it was great is because it was so like I never knew what to expect when I was going over there. Like we could be running hills one day or we could be on the airdyne bike or just like or we were on the mat. Like I just never knew. And a lot of that happens in sports. Like you never know what's gonna happen, right? So you got to be ready. So I attribute a lot of like my success, I guess, to those workouts.
You still get on the mat?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, he gets his wrists all taped up and stuff, gets his elbow taped up and goes at it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I had no idea.
I mean, I'm trying to think back to like 3-year-old, like Ben Kueter signed up for wrestling. And then later on, it's like, by the way, you're going to be wrestling Dan Gable in his like house.
Well, yeah, it's just crazy. Like there'd be days where I'm like on the airdyne bike or like I'm running or like I'm on the mat in his basement. I'm like, I'm in Dan Gable's basement. It's like kind of crazy. Like there's probably millions of kids that wish they could be doing that right now. And I get to, so definitely grateful for that.
What do you think is one of I'm sure there's a million different kind of like life lessons. I know he's really big on that and has a million of those like great ones that he can kind of take you through. But what's some of the best maybe advice or lessons that you learned from him when you were over there?
Yeah. I mean, just like I was saying earlier, to be honest, like going over there and not being able to like expect what the workout is. Like, cause like, if you know like what the workout is, you can kind of gear up for it and like kind of prepare yourself for it. But like if you have no idea what it is, it like makes it like 10 times harder because you just don't know if I'm going to be done in 5 minutes or if I'm going to be done in an hour or 2 hours. You know what I mean? So I definitely say like just the fact that I never knew what was coming. And yeah.
Well, I feel there was I'm blanking on his name. I don't think it was Mark Ironside when we were at Fridays.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. So I was talking to him and he wrestled for Gable. And I was like, you know, I forget what his speech was because he went out there and he talked, but we were talking beforehand because I got to play for Coach Ferentz.
Yeah.
Like you've got the opportunity to play for Coach Ferentz, the Brands, and wrestle for Dan Gable. Like that's a pretty wild coaching list.
Yeah, it's crazy. And plus Coach Wallace too. Like it's insane. I mean, just the coaches right there. That's crazy.
So when I was talking to Mark, he was saying how like Gable knew that line between friend and coach that like you wanted to tell him about your newest girlfriend, but you also wanted to go wrestle as hard as you could for him. He's like, it was that balance. Like, did you notice that when you were wrestling with him
definitely.
for a couple years?
I think one thing I noticed is like, cause I'd always work out with other people, is like, he'd know how to coach each person like differently, I would say. And obviously he was really good at that. I mean, he was one of the best coaches ever. So I think that's something he was really good at, but yeah.
And that can be misinterpreted. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast before, but I remember early on when I was at Iowa, like my receivers coach would coach guys differently. And at the time I thought he was picking favorites.
Right.
Like initially it's like, well, why is he talking to him a certain way or him a certain way? And like now that I'm older, it's like, oh, well, that's how you get the best out of that kid is you got to respond this way when he's talking.
And like every kid's different.
Yes.
If a coach can find that out, I mean, a lot of good can happen.
Well, and obviously people and even in your experience, it seems like they make connections with the great coaches and Dan Gable being one of them.
Yep, for sure, yeah.
Very good. 100%. So let's see. So high school, pretty incredible high school career.
Yeah, I did a lot. Yeah, accomplished a lot.
Absolutely. So baseball, I want to start there.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people probably don't see you as a baseball player, but you had a pretty good batting average.
Yeah, I think my senior year was like 350 or something like that. Or no, it would have been in my junior year because I had summer workouts for football my senior year.
Crazy.
But I missed a couple games because that summer I made it to the Pan Am games. And so I had to go to Mexico City.
Had to go to Mexico City.
Yeah.
Well, I got to. Sorry, I had to miss this because I got to go to Central America.
So I got to do that. And then I actually got to go out and train at the Olympic Training Center for like 2 weeks.
Dang.
And that was sweet. So I just lived there for 2 weeks and got to train there. So that was really neat. But yeah, so I didn't hit the ball a lot, but because of that. But yeah I mean, it was fun.
And then what did you play as far as a position?
I was center field and right field. We had a kid on the team, Kueter Miller. He plays here too. He played center field. He's pretty good too.
So you guys like kind of stacked.
Yeah. We had a good baseball team. I think, we made it to state my junior year, senior year, and no, not junior. Yeah. Okay, out of the 3 years I played, we didn't make it once.
Okay.
So I can't remember what year exactly, though.
Okay, so then baseball, track.
Yeah, I ran track sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
and I ran at the Drake Relays, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it never, like,
What
I
event?
it was the sprint medley.
Okay, so
You
what'd
too
you run
big
in
to be
that?
running sprints.
I know. Well, I love 400s. I love running 400s.
Okay, no.
There's something like actually wrong. He's a
Then-
wrestler and he's running 400s.
No one
There's-
says they like 400s.
I obviously, like, it sucks after, like, you hate it, but, like, it feels good to just, like, do that. But, yeah, I did that, and I can never really practice for it, and, like, I kind of felt bad when, like, I wouldn't practice, and then, like, I'm taking somebody else's spot
Mm.
who's
sure.
here every day, and even though I might have been the better guy to run, but, like,
Sure.
he's there every day, and, like, I don't want to do that, so I ran there, and then
Did you guys win?
We got second.
Got second.
Yep,
Just show up to Drake Relays.
get second. Yeah,
Get second.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was definitely a cool experience.
Yeah.
Glad I got to do it.
So you're hold on. You're heavyweight now. So
Yeah.
what were you weighing back then? Now I'm curious.
Yeah, so my freshman year, I was like weighing like 175, so I cut to 160. And yeah, that was horrible. And then
Oh my
I stopped
gosh.
cutting after that because like I was just like,
Well, that's a lot of weight. 15 pounds on
yeah,
a tight
and like
frame
for me,
anyway.
like I have a fast metabolism, so like it's like I don't know, it was hard.
Tell me
And
about
I was
it.
working out like probably like 3 times a day. If I had a wrestling practice, I was working out before my wrestling practice, then going to my wrestling practice, and it was just I don't know, it kind of like just took the fun out of it because I was just cutting weight the whole time.
Yeah.
And so after that, I was like, I'm not cutting weight anymore. No cutting weight.
I remember in high school there were dudes that would have like a Powerade bottle and just
Yeah.
spitting into the Powerade bottle
Yeah.
trying to lose like that
It's
kind of
just-
weight.
Yeah, I mean, it takes the fun out of it. Like, just wrestle what you weigh.
Yeah.
You know, I 225, 230. I'm wrestling heavyweight. Like, it's
I
fine.
love that mentality.
yeah, and then after that, I wrestled. I weighed 195, and then 220 my last 2 years.
Ah,
Yeah,
must be nice.
yeah, it was fun. It
well,
was a
you're
good time.
what, 6'3"?
Yeah, 6'3", 6'4".
That's pretty tall for a wrestler,
Yeah.
even at the heavyweight level. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like I go to the football room and like I'm kind of like an average guy there, like because everybody's just like pretty big, right? And then I go to the wrestling room and I'm like just a giant compared to everybody. so it's
true.
it's kind of a weird mix, but it's pretty cool.
So you're looking at YA Black and then you
Yeah.
gotta go look at Spencer Lee.
He makes me
like-
tiny, yeah,
Oh, that's so funny.
yeah. It's awesome though. It's cool. Best of both
And then
worlds.
you're running stairs with a 133 pounder.
Yep.
And you were just hanging out with a 300 pounder.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome.
So funny.
Is there a shift? Sorry, we really need to go back, but I keep thinking of things. You keep us on track and then I go on little spurts. Is there like a mentality shift? Because like we talked to Spencer. Spencer was just on.
Okay.
And he talked about like how this is just what I do. Like
Yeah.
I don't think of anything different. But I think there's a giant mentality difference between football and wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel that when you're playing football versus when you're wrestling?
Yeah, I'd say the one thing that like I can compare between the two is linebackers at Iowa, and like you know this obviously, like just like super hard hitting, like
Let's say
balls,
Josie,
like,
Bo Bauer, Ben Neiman, those are the guys that I played
Exactly.
with.
And so like super like I don't know, just physical, aggressive, and like just tough football. And then Iowa wrestling, they're like known for like super tough wrestling and like very like I don't know how to say it, but like just like wearing guys out and just like yeah, and that's what they're known for. So I'd say like that's like the same between the two, but like they're like two completely different sports. But
Well, because obviously you're focused on like you got to have the 4 guys up front, you know,
Yeah.
sucking up blocks so that way you can make the play, right?
Right.
When you're in football. But you're right with the mentality is like we just want to get them in the 4th quarter and then we're going to
Yeah.
choke them out.
exactly.
Wrestling, we want to give them a 3rd period and we're going to choke them out, right? It's
yeah,
kind of the same thing.
exactly, yeah.
Or before. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you did that a lot when you were in high school.
I
Choke
did,
them out
yeah.
before. But, and then it's like everybody's just watching you
Yeah.
in wrestling. Like,
That-
how
I was
does
saying that the other day actually because I wrestled on Monday and that was my first match and I was crapping my pants. Like I was like so scared going out there, and I'll admit it. Like it was cool. It was definitely a cool experience, but it's a little different when you have like 10 other guys out there and you can you're not blend in, but like you're just
You're just
there's
doing
10
your
other
part
guys.
of the 11.
Yeah, exactly. But like you go out there and wrestling, it's just you. And, like it was fun. It was sweet.
Is there one that you favor?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I think during like football season, like I'd say football.
It's whatever you're doing at the time,
and,
kind
like,
of.
so like right now it's wrestling season, so like I love wrestling. But like
Gotcha.
I'll do it for a while and then I'll miss football. So then like that works out because we had spring ball right after the NCAA. So.
You know what? We were just talking when Spencer was on. He was saying how his dad made him do cross country when he was in high school because he didn't want him to do wrestling all year round because he wanted him to still be hungry for wrestling so he didn't get burnt out.
Yeah, if I did wrestling year round, I probably wouldn't be wrestling right now. It's just like such a grind.
Yeah.
And some people understand that and some people don't. And that's why a lot of kids get burnt out and stuff. So
that is so interesting.
yeah, I think that's why I played so many sports because like I couldn't wrestle year round. But like I love it. Like but I just couldn't do it year round.
It's intense.
Yeah, it's
mentally,
a lot.
Physically, I mean, especially physically.
It's hard on your body. It's
No kidding. Huh. Okay, so let's go back to I kind of want to go back to high school just to talk about your recruitment process.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? You were like what, pound for pound, the number one wrestler in the state, in the nation?
Country,
like
yeah.
In the country.
Yep.
And then he was up there for an award for best linebacker in the country, right?
yeah. I made the final 5 for the Buckus, high school Buckus.
So it's like, who wasn't calling? I guess is more probably.
Well, it's funny because so for wrestling, nobody really called me.
What?
Yeah.
Did they all just anticipate you going to football?
Like
so
growing up in Iowa City, like you're going to Iowa. I think a lot of people,
like Penn State, like none of them even tried.
I think Oklahoma State called me once, and the first thing they asked was, "Are you just going to Iowa?" And I was like, "No." Like at first, like I wanted to like kind of explore my options, but like I've always dreamed of going to Iowa. I was like, I'm not gonna waste these coaches' time. And then football was a little different. I didn't really get any football. I got my first offer after my first game junior year, and then after that, it kind of picked up.
Who was the first school? Do you remember?
It was Minnesota.
Dang, okay.
Yeah, I was taking a nap. It was for tight end, actually.
Oh my gosh.
You got hands?
Yeah. I can't remember how fast I was going, but I was going pretty fast when I played, and they like clocked my speed or something. And that's why they offered me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really? You can't remember what the speed was?
No, I can't.
It's too slow. He doesn't want to talk about it.
No, it was like 20 point something. I can't remember. I think it was like 0.8 or something like miles an hour. I don't know what it was, but yeah.
Were you wearing a GPS thing, or they just
clocked it? Like I could probably pull the clip up after, but because that clip actually got me into the Under Armour game too, and so yeah,
bro. So you hold on. Based off of a handheld or based off a clip of you running is what got.
Yeah, they saw like my breakaway speed and like they liked that, I guess. And so
is that what they told you?
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah. And so I was taking a nap one day and my coach called me and he's like, "Hey, Minnesota's going to offer you." And I started freaking out because like, that's my first offer. Like, it was cool.
Yeah.
And then, I think it was Iowa State next. And then Iowa. And
Iowa finally got on the bandwagon.
Yeah. And then I committed as soon as they asked if I wanted to come here. So
that was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a game day visit. And it was Coach Ferentz, Brian. And he just wanted me to be a Hawk. And I was like, all right, I'm a Hawk. Like,
done.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out when I get here, but I'm just a Hawk.
What was that discussion like going back to like the recruiting? So like, did the brands talk to you along with Coach Ferentz? Like how did that even become
so the brands
a thing?
I grew up in the Iowa wrestling room, like, cause I went to a club there. So like, I've always been
and
like,
you knew
around
Gable,
them.
so I'm sure that kind of.
Yeah. So I was talking to brands like for a while and just cause I was always like there at club practice or something. And so he was the one to reach out first. And then like I started talking to the football staff and stuff like that, but it was definitely wrestling that reached out first. And there wasn't like a crazy mix. Like both of their things were just like, we want you to be a Hawk. So
really,
so we'll find a way to make it happen. That's basically it.
And like, it's not bad if I like stop wrestling and play football. And like, if I stop playing football and wrestle, like they just want me to be a Hawk.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's happened before, but I think it was back in like 70s, 80s.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Marcus Sindlinger.
Yep.
And there was one other heavyweight, right?
Yep. Yeah. I've heard a lot of stories about him, but
yeah, I'm sure. And have you gotten to talk to any of those guys at all?
I haven't, no.
Because I'm pretty sure I don't want to say, I think it was this season we had Bark back.
Okay.
And I talked to him and I was like, oh, we got another guy. And maybe it was last season, but I don't know. You should get in touch with him just to like.
Yeah, no, yeah. Cool. Just kind of pick his brain a little bit. Yeah. See how he did while he was here.
Yeah. Obviously it's, a little bit different now.
Yeah.
Times are changing and all of
definitely.
that. With NIL, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's a whole other conversation in itself.
Well, like I was talking to her on the way here and it was like, okay, so you're, like she said, pound for pound, one of the best wrestlers, right? And then you're one of the best linebackers. And you come to Iowa and you're behind Jay Higgins, who he tied Andre Davis. Is that right? Or did he break?
I think
I can't remember if he officially broke it or not. Tackles in a season.
Yeah.
So like you're going to sit behind him, right? Just like he sat behind Jack Campbell.
Right.
And then you come here, and obviously the gambling stuff, like with Cassiopeia and whatever, which we don't need to go down that path. But it's like, you probably didn't anticipate wrestling right away, or did you? So it's like, to be the best at your position and to still come to a school that you knew you weren't going to play right away, I feel like that's something that doesn't happen these days. Yeah,
well, it's definitely tough because like I see because I have friends like all over the country like playing ball, and like I see them getting reps, and like I see them playing, and like I want that, so it's like tough.
Well, yeah, you're a competitor because you want to go compete. For sure.
Like I say this to everybody, but like it's super weird from like going from the man in high school to just being like another guy at the roster.
Matt just said that.
Yeah.
On the way here.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. He's like, that's the shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely humbling, and I loved it. It was great. It's probably the best thing for me. But yeah, I mean, it's great being under Jay.
I was remember, I'm not going to call the player out, but like we were sitting and doing training table.
Yeah.
And, he was like pointing up because they were doing highlights, and he was a young guy.
Yeah.
And I think it was Bob Sanders had like a pick six or something like that. And he goes, "Oh, that reminds me of my play that I had against da 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 da." I was like, "So you're like the man?" Mm-hmm. He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, that's why we all got here."
Yeah, everybody here is the man in high school.
Yeah, it's so different how that happens. Yeah,
Looking to update your home with a remodel, new addition, or new build? Contact MJC Carpentry, a local and reliable contractor with over 10 years of experience based in North Liberty, Iowa. MJC Carpentry's highest priority is crafting a perfectly tailored home. Visit their website, www.micahjconstruction.com, to learn more. And for a free estimate and consultation, don't hesitate to call 319-461-4786.
Locally owned and operated, Performance is a full-service restoration company serving eastern Iowa. As an IICRC certified firm, their multi-licensed technicians have decades of experience in water, mold, and fire mitigation. Whether it's your home or business, this is the team you want in a time of need. Performance Restoration. Call 319-626-2292. Are you looking for a website that boosts your online presence and showcases your brand? Look no further than Digital Boost, locally owned and operated website company that delivers high-quality websites at affordable prices. Whether you need a simple landing page, a full-fledged e-commerce site, or custom-tailored marketing solutions, Digital Boost has you covered. Contact them today and get a free quote by emailing Curtis at digitalboostia.com. Digital Boost, the website company that gives you a boost.
Rest easy when you have the Bugman's top-rated defense protecting your home and business, providing maintenance and prevention treatments for any problem. Call today for a free quote, 563-554-BUGS. You'll also receive a 15% discount off your first treatment if you mention the podcast. Bugman Pest Control, proudly serving the Hawkeye State since 2008. The Appliance Barn offers a wide range of high-quality appliances at unbeatable prices. Whether you're in the market for a new refrigerator, dishwasher, or washing machine, they've got you covered. They also have a delivery and setup department to ensure your appliances get delivered and installed quickly. To find out more, visit appliancebarn.com. We were talking to Quinn Schulte when he was on here, and he was saying how like the Iowa defense is so complex, like the system and everything. He's like, it does take, he said it was probably good for him to sit for a year or two and then really have that like breakout season because he finally understood it. He was able to like watch the games and, pick guys' brains and really watch film and kind of be immersed in it and then really have the opportunity to get out there. Do you feel like that's kind of, it plays to your favor to be able to sit behind guys like Jay?
Yeah. Well, and like playing Mike, like I also have to like know everything because like I'm getting people set up and I'm getting people in their spots and I just gotta know everything pretty much. So it's tough, but I'm actually locker buddies with Jay. So I pick his brain all the time. I probably annoy him a little too much, but he's a great sport about it. And
he's a funny dude. He came on early on in the season.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a different dude.
Yeah. He's great. He's awesome.
He's great.
He always wants to wrestle me. It's the funniest thing ever.
To wrestle you?
Yeah. I don't know why, but he does.
Well, who was on when they were talking about, was it Cade? Yeah, Cade McNamara was on and he was saying that like some of the linemen just like went over to some building where they have
track.
The track facility has like wrestling mats somewhere. And they just like went over and started wrestling. He's like, what is going on? Have you done that?
No, I haven't yet. But like, it's crazy to like see how many guys on the football team like love wrestling. Like they get so into it. And it's cool to see.
Well, it's kind of plays into the multi-sport in high school. And then usually, obviously, as you know, most people have to pick one. Like Tristan Wirfs, Tyler Linderbaum, like some of the dudes that are around here were also really good wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of parallels between the two, like as far as like your hands and stuff, like in wrestling, like you have to hand fight. And so like that translates really well to football. So, and just like little things like that just like
understanding leverage, understanding how to use the guy's weight against him.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so you don't really have to practice it because I'm doing it in wrestling, right? And so like it just comes natural.
So let's talk about the coaching differences.
Yeah.
Coach Ferentz.
Yeah.
He's so chill and probably a little different at practice. Obviously, we don't see that. I don't see that side. But
bounce up.
What?
Bounce up, bounce up.
Yep.
Oh.
Keep going.
I don't know that. Anyway, but just like on the sideline, he kind of tries to keep it in check. Right?
Yeah.
He's not super emotional unless it's a really bad call. Then you might see him get a little fired up, but like he really is like reserved. Then you have the brands where it's like it's a part of their thing. Like it's their shtick, it's their personality. It's like part of the entertainment of the duel, right? Or like wherever they are. And so it's like the difference is there of like it's wrestling's a spectacle. I mean, that's kind of part of it. It's like
Spencer
the man
talked about that too.
Yeah, it's like the man in the arena. It's kind of the point where it's like Coach Ferentz kind of expects a little bit different out of you guys, where it's like do your job.
Yeah.
Kind of
play
whatever.
close to the vest.
Yep.
Just talk about the coaching differences there and what that's like.
Yeah, I mean, so like obviously like they both those coaches like really care about their sport, right? But they show it a little differently. Like Tom, super, and Terry. I'd say like all the coaches honestly, but like Tom and Terry, like super outgoing, like just like super aggressive, and like that's just how they're wired. And so like that's super cool to see. I think we were at Nebraska last week. And there's like a horrible call, and like Tom got up on the stage and like started banging like the steers and stuff. And I was just sitting there looking at him in awe of like, this is awesome and stuff. But yeah, I mean, Ferentz, he's definitely a lot more like, I wouldn't say laid back, but like has a plan, sticks to it, like expects you to show up, do the easy things, do the little things. And like, I think what he always says, I don't know, we can get anybody in the street to come here to show up to workouts on time.
Doesn't require talent.
Yeah. So I think he wants us to be like really good at those things, and then everything else will follow.
Well, one of the things that most people talk about, and obviously you've only been there for a semester.
Yeah.
But one of the main themes is like, he wants us to be better people when we leave the program. And you're going to win football games along the way if you've got a bunch of good people in the building. Not to say that the brands don't do that. They just show it differently. You know, they're going to get on the mat. I mean, I've seen plenty of videos. And what were we watching? Was that on the Big Ten Network where they like dove into the brands?
Yeah, probably.
I can't remember what it was.
I think so.
It was like a brands documentary or something.
Yeah, I just watched that. Yeah.
Like how they get down and like do everything else. I think that's just kind of like the Iowa way. Not only that, but I think a lot of schools have to deal with the instability of coaches. Yeah. And now you're playing for two very long tenured coaches. Yeah. I feel like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It was crazy. Like I was saying about Nebraska, like I was putting on like my Iowa gear and stuff. And I have all these stories for football too, but I was putting on my Iowa wrestling gear and I looked over to Patrick Kennedy. I was like, I've been watching Iowa wrestling since I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. And like I'm putting on the gear, I'm putting on the warm-ups, go out there, and it doesn't feel real, to be honest.
Oh,
same with the football,
Yeah.
Swarm, it's like insane.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you just mentioned that you get to step out on the mat. Right now as we're recording, it was about a week ago.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah.
I told Matt, I was like, the last time I heard Carver that loud for a single wrestler to come out, not even like do anything yet, just walk out of the tunnel, was when Spencer Lee was there.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And the place wasn't even like packed at the time. Like,
because it was like bad weather or something like that.
Yes.
So
yeah. But it was unbelievably loud. People were so pumped. And I just finished what I was doing, stepped back into the tunnel, like gonna go get my bag and stuff. And you were back there kind of like getting ready. And I think Sorensen was with you, kind of helping you get ready. And you looked a little nervous. You're pacing back and forth. I was like, and I walked back because it was between you and another guy who was gonna wrestle, right?
Yeah, Bradley.
Bradley, got it. And I walked back there and I saw you and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
He's about to step out there. Yep. So I had to hang around. I'm like, I got to watch this. Yeah. But what was that like? I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit. It was insane.
Yeah, it was.
Hold on. I want to back up. I'm going to cut you off. What was the moment like when he told you were going to wrestle?
Yeah. So I'll start there. So we were at Nebraska. It was Friday, I believe. And so their heavyweight, actually, he was a football player too this year, that Nash Hutmacher or whatever.
Okay.
He played D-line for him. He's a big boy. Like he's pretty good at football. Like he's really good at football. And so he was their guy that night. And we thought the duel was like going to be closer and stuff. So Tom was just telling me and Bradley, like, hey, be ready. I don't know who's going yet.
So they truthfully don't know when you both go out to the mat.
Yeah.
I thought that like they had a plan. They just put two to
I'm sure they
confuse
for like
them.
some duels. I'm sure it's like that, but like he was just like, be ready, both of you be ready. So we both weigh in, we both warm up, like we're both getting ready, and
Dang.
he comes up to me and he's like, "You want the match?" It was at like 197, and I was like frick yeah, of course I want the match. And
Get the bleep button ready.
Yeah, sorry, but and he's like, "All right, you're going." And then I'm like, "Sweet," get my headphones on. And
that was it. Just do you want it?
Yeah. And like, I don't know, it's like a hard question to like answer because like obviously I want to go and wrestle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was cool. And then we win 197, so like we sealed the duel or whatever. Like they couldn't come back. And then Bradley went out there and he's like, "You're going Monday, your home crowd." And I was like, "Sweet."
Wow.
So I knew for a couple of days that I was gonna go.
Okay, you were a little prepared. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, were those days leading up? Were you nervous? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was nervous. Yeah.
So I love that you admit that because most guys would be like, "No, I was ready to go."
No, yeah.
You know?
I mean, I was ready to go, but like I have no problem admitting like I was nervous.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's because he cares. That's one of the things
Yeah.
is like, I think nervousness can be misconstrued, but like it just means you care about what you're about to go
Yeah,
do.
exactly. And I asked all the guys. I talked to Spencer. I talked to like all the older guys. They said their first match in Carver, it's like they just die.
Different.
Yeah, they every year, and they could have 4 months of training and like they just die. It's a little different when I have 2
Die.
weeks. Like just like just tired, like exhausted,
Oh,
like
yeah.
mentally, physically.
Oh, because you're so
like,
hyped from like
Yeah, just
everybody
all of
getting
it.
in,
Yeah, just
sure.
everything. Like they always say like first match. That's how it goes. I even talked to Ironside the other day. He said that too.
Really?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I wasn't at the meet because when she works, I end up watching both kids at home.
Okay.
So did you die?
Yeah, I was gassed. I was tired walking out to that. But it was so cool. It was so fun. I definitely had to kind of grow up here and just win the match, just get it done. And it wasn't pretty, and I was pretty upset with how like I competed, or not competed, but wrestled, performed. Because like I'm big on performance. Like I don't care so much like if I win or lose, but like if I'm working on something for this long and like I want to be able to go out and hit it or something like that. Like I just want to perform well.
More technique so than
Yeah,
like
and just
athletic
like
stuff?
look good. Like I'm more like worried about how I look and like how my wrestling looks, and like I know if it looks good, I'm probably gonna win the match.
Yeah.
So, I was not happy with my performance that night.
Do you watch a lot of tape?
Yeah, I watch a good amount. Not a lot on like other people, like myself more so. But
Okay.
Well, I feel like you can only control you.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
but like
I'm-
it's also good to know like what a guy's gonna do. Like I knew that Minnesota guy, like he was gonna be all underhooks to my left side, and I didn't stop it at all. So I was pretty upset about that. And like it's just tough like working on something like that for like a day or two, like knowing like, okay, this is what he's gonna do. Like stick to your game plan, but like just be aware that he's gonna do this. And then he comes out and does it the whole match. Like, I mean, it just kind of doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
And like I don't know why I didn't stop it, but like I just didn't.
Yeah. Well, came out with a win. That's always
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I'd
It was
much rather
such a
learn
cool
in a win than
experience.
learn in a lose
Yeah.
or a loss.
I'd say the hardest part was like when I was warming up is like I had like 5 or 6 cameras like just right in my face,
Uh-huh.
like get back in the tunnel.
Did you want to like mush them?
Yeah, I want to like get out of here. I'm trying to warm up. Like leave me alone. And
They were all over you. That's
Yeah.
but that's what I was saying when I walked back there. I was like, oh, okay.
So
This is
what
happening.
is obviously when you warm up for football, like you all do it as a team and like
Yeah.
all that stuff. What is like when he tells you like, hey, your match is coming up, like how many matches earlier do you have to warm up? What does your warm up look like? Like I have no idea what any of that
yeah,
stuff
so it's
is.
a little different for everybody. So like obviously like Drake being the 125, like he has to warm up pretty early.
Right.
And so usually usually if I'm in my first year, so like I'm still kind of figuring things out a little
Sure.
bit at the college level at least. But what we've been doing is I weigh in, then like warm up, kind of like get a like good sweat, and then just chill, watch 2 matches, and then I go up in like the dressing room and just kind of sit on the couch, just watch the meet, like just chill, and then at intermission is when like I go again a little bit, like kind of just like so
But
that's
just you. It's not like somebody else is
no,
with you.
yeah, like I'm warming up with somebody. So
Oh, okay.
that's usually like probably like 4 or 5 matches before my match. And then so I do that, and then I kind of I sit, like relax, just chill. And then like probably like a match or 2 before like I get up and start like walking around, just kind of moving. just like blood
Pacing.
going, Yeah.
Pacing.
Yeah. But I was tired. Like I was doing that before my match Monday, and like I was tired doing that. Like I was like, something's up. This should not be feeling like this right now.
Yeah, the adrenaline, I'm sure, just gets you.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Sorry, go ahead.
You had a lot of your football teammates
Yeah.
that were there. How
It's
cool
funny
was
because
that?
like they all text. My phone was like before the duel was like just like exploding. Like, you going tonight? Like, you going?
Dang.
And like I don't know. Like I just shut it off. I shut my phone off.
You just said nobody?
Yeah. Well, like it's tough. Like I told my
Wow.
parents and like I told my close family, but like I didn't want to like I don't know. Like I wanted to focus on the wrestling match. Like I didn't want to have to worry about that. And I told Coach Wallace too because he wanted to be there for my first match.
That's cool.
That's
So
dope.
yeah, I let him know, and he was there. He came in when I was warming up and stuff, and yeah, that was awesome. But yeah, I just shut my phone off, just like completely, like just chilled. And then saw I was wrestling. I get my hand raised, and I like see out of the corner of my eye like a bunch of dudes on the mat, and I'm like, oh, those are the football guys.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize how close they were to the mat. Like John Nestor like was probably 5 feet from the Minnesota coaches. Like it was insane. It was so cool.
That's gotta be unbelievably
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah, it's sweet. Like the whole football season, like everybody's like, I'm coming to the first meet. I'm coming to the first meet.
Mhm.
Can't wait to watch you wrestle. And so like it's cool. Like it's awesome.
Well, I think it speaks more, not just like, I mean, obviously it's kind of like a family, like at Iowa,
Yeah.
what I was alluding to earlier, because they want you to like be successful people. But I think it also says what your teammates think about you if they're willing to come and
Yeah.
and support you and like talking to you about it and be like, hey, we
No,
want to be
yeah.
there. Coach Wallace making the
Yeah.
the extra stop out there to make sure like all that stuff is really cool. And I think it speaks to what you're doing because obviously you weren't playing a ton. Jay Higgins is out
Yeah.
there. And so to have your teammates respond that way, I think is really cool.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing, like as far as football went and wrestling, is like I found my role, and that was to be the best scout team linebacker I can be, so the offense gets a really good look. And that was my role, and I was the best at it. So
I mean, that's the right mentality.
That's
Like,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
that's what
that's
Coach
the Iowa
says. Like
mentality.
if find your role and be the best at that role, and that's what I did.
so good.
Yeah.
Matter of fact.
That's-
That's it.
that's it. That's it.
That's awesome. Okay. I had somewhere where I wanted to head. Now I can't remember what it was.
I told you, you keep on track. I just,
Yeah, I know, but you keep diverting me
Just
a
keep
lot
going
today.
everywhere,
Yeah.
sorry.
It's okay. Okay, so obviously your schedule is pretty insane.
Yeah.
You got a lot going on. Do you even have any time for anything else? Like hobbies, anything like that?
Not really. I like to play video games, but like I just don't really have time.
Gamer.
Oh, wait, I just saw something. Did you lose a bet with Real?
No, we were. So yeah, a bunch of people were giving me crap for that. We were sitting in the locker room before Wade's, and Real was just talking and saying how he was like the best COD player in the NCAA. So I was
For
like,
those
I'm
of
gonna
you
post this
listening,
right
COD
now.
is Call of Duty.
Yeah,
All right,
Call of
keep
Duty. And I'm like, I'm gonna post this on Twitter, like just see. And it got like 300 likes or something like that. Just something stupid.
I thought maybe you lost to him and that was the bet. Like you had to post
Yeah,
it.
I saw like a comment. Somebody said somebody has his phone or he lost a bet, and I was like, nope.
Just being a good teammate. That's awesome. Propping him
Yeah.
up.
No, yeah, it was funny.
I think there's a lot of different personalities in wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
How does that work in a wrestling room? Are you guys pretty close? I mean, with football, I mean, obviously guys are coming from a lot of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
But I think football mentality is pretty like across the board. Whereas wrestling,
Mainly
I
because
mean,
it's more of a team sport, maybe.
I suppose, yeah. But in wrestling, it's like you've got, I mean, just guys that I'm thinking of with different personalities, like Austin DeSanto versus, you
Like
got
a Spencer Lee.
Spencer Lee,
Yeah,
like just
two
totally
different people,
different
yeah.
mentalities. Yeah. So like, how does that work in the room?
Yeah, I'd say it's very similar to football as far as like you're boys with everybody, like you're cool with everyone, but like once practice starts, like you're there to
Be
the guy.
Kill
Yeah.
that other guy.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll go.
And so there's definitely parallels between the two as far as that goes. But yeah, it's a world of difference between the two as far as like the people and stuff. Like I'm sure you know, but like before games, like in the locker room, like it's just like dead silent.
Mm-hmm.
Dead silent. Like it's like I would compare it to like a funeral or something. Like, but like not that kind of not
Yeah.
like that kind of like
No, yeah. When
but,
you
like,
come back in after
everybody's
warm-up.
just laser focused. Like just
Mhm.
laser focused.
When
and
Kev's
then,
going
like-
out around and giving handshakes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
exactly.
everybody's just like here.
Yeah. Like, and you don't want to be that one kid, like, just like kind of screwing around, just like, yeah.
Mhm.
So everybody's just laser focused. But like wrestling, like we just like before duels, like we're just chilling. Like everybody was just talking, playing video games. We play like Madden Mobile. Like, so just like to see the difference. And like, it's like, yeah. And I mean, obviously, like, we're both really good. I think wrestling, we're ranked 3rd right now. So just kind of like see the difference in how people operate. It's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, totally different.
I think it goes to show too that like there are multiple ways, you know, the saying is there's multiple ways to skin a cat. But like if the guys at the top set an expectation and that expectation is followed, as long as they're going in the right direction, I feel like they can bring everybody with them, regardless whether you're the stoic KF of like, I'm not going to get too high or too low. Yeah. Or the Tom and Terry Brandons that might end up wrestling the official if something goes wrong.
Exactly. You know? No, yeah, there's definitely a good balance for sure.
Okay. So I guess what is your, this was what I was going to ask before. So then you get done with football, right? And then it's like you go right into wrestling, and you had missed a couple things for wrestling, right?
Yeah. I missed like the first like half of the season as far as like wrestling goes, because it started probably 2-3 months ago. Yeah. But I was still like practicing a little bit. Like it was super long days because like football were mornings. Mm-hmm. So I was up at like probably like 5 for that. Every morning, like just everybody was. And then I'd have class after that. And that's like probably like from 11 to like 1 or 2. And then I'd have wrestling at 3 some days. Like this was right before like the bowl game. And so I'd have wrestling at 3. The meeting's at 5. And then by then I'm just like, I was wiped out. Yeah. Wiped out. And so, yeah, I missed the first half of the season. And then after the bowl game, I flew back the next day and I got off the plane and I went to practice. Like I literally got off the plane and went to practice. So
yeah, you wired differently.
Well, I wasn't even gonna. I was driving back to the dorms and I saw my friend Gabe Arnold, another freshman, great wrestler. And I was like, yo, where are you going? He's like, oh, we got practice. I was like, all right, I bet. Turn the car around. Went to Carver.
So then I guess for me, it felt like this. It was like immediately we saw you at the bowl game, and then immediately here you are wrestling in Carver. Yeah. Obviously, I didn't see you in between that time. Right. So it felt like, oh my gosh, he just like hopped right back into it. Was it hard for you to get into wrestling shape? Because it's got to be kind of 2 different things, right? Football shape and wrestling shape.
I'd definitely say the coaches in wrestling did like a really good job of like easing me into it. And like making sure like it wasn't too much, but I also wasn't doing too little. So like during football season, when I was doing wrestling practices too, like one day I'd do like 45 minutes. And then the next day, if I came in again, it would be like 55 minutes or like 60. Then like an hour and 15, then an hour and a half. And then it just kept going. So just building on it. And yeah, they're just super good about like keeping me healthy and like just making sure they didn't just like throw me to the wolves right away, pretty much. But
well, it seems really interesting because like football is more of like an aerobic sport. Like it's quick sprints, which you could argue is anaerobic, but you're not just flexing for 7 minutes, you know, like wrestling is. Like you're a little bit hunched over, but then like you're grabbing somebody for another 2.5. Yeah. Like that to me is always interesting of like how differently the demands of the sport are.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. My first couple practices back, I was definitely, they're pretty hurting. Tough, pretty rough, pretty rough. And so, but yeah, it's all good. I love it.
Dang. How about, let's see. If there's like a young athlete that's listening to this right now and they're like, wow, I want to be a dual sport athlete. Like it's doable. I can do that too. What would your biggest advice be?
My biggest advice, don't listen to other people.
Ooh, that's a really good one. I was going to ask you about that too. So hold that thought. People immediately, when you said, I'm going to do wrestling and football, people exploded with, he can't do that. Yeah. There's no way. There's no way he's going to be able to do that. What did you think of that?
Well, I mean, people are wired differently, but like with how I'm wired, I was like, all right, game on. Yeah. I was like, all right.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. I'm gonna go you don't think I'm going to do it? All right. Well, I did it. So I'm going to keep doing it. But it was, don't listen to people. Just to kind of have like your group, small group, and listen to those people.
You have a pretty small circle?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just something like always like coaches preach growing up, like big circle, you just get pulled too many directions. Like you got to have small circle. And so,
are you an Office fan? Do you watch The Office?
I've seen clips. I don't really watch it.
Time for that, Matt.
I was gonna say The Inner Circle, D'Angelo.
No, I don't got time for that.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. Go watch The Office.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll start
He's busy. Well, very good. Well, Ben, thank you so much.
Yeah,
this was awesome.
This was so good. Well, we wish you the best of luck in the rest of wrestling season, and then we'll see you in spring ball.
Heck yeah.
It never stops for you.
Nope. Always on the grind.
All right, thanks, Ben.
Thank you, guys.